Realtors of Reddit, what's your scariest paranormal experience while on the job? I'll go first. I've been an agent for about 7 years now, and I've had my fair share of weird, unexplainable experiences. The most notable one, I was doing an open house in a neighborhood that was built in the early 2000s in Central Texas. When I do open houses, I always make sure all of the interior doors are open to help with the natural flow / make it feel more inviting. The open house had been pretty slow and there was no furniture in the one-story house. So I sat on the floor in the front room so I could see if anyone was walking up before they got to the front door. All of a sudden, from the back of the home, I heard something that sounded like slow shuffling, walking kind of around in the kitchen. I jumped up from the floor quickly, thinking I may have missed someone walking in. Flustered, I quickly walked into the kitchen and saw no one, so I started walking towards the primary bedroom at the back of the home and paused. I got this overwhelmingly bad gut feeling that I wasn't alone once I got to the doorway entering the primary room. I looked around the room and nothing, but then I noticed the double doors leading to the attached primary bathroom were both closed. I knew for a fact that I had intentionally left those open. I had done a video for social media where I made it a point to open the doors. The gut feeling grew stronger. I immediately FaceTimed my partner because I couldn't shake off the fact that something was very wrong. I couldn't explain the gut feeling and the noises I had earlier. While on FaceTime, I slowly walked towards the double doors and opened them fast, thinking maybe somebody was hiding. And nope, absolutely nothing. But it was the strongest gut feeling of really bad energy along with unexplained noises that I've never experienced. I've done so much research trying to figure out what this neighborhood was before it was developed, but haven't had any luck. And side note, when I was much younger, my sister owned a house in the same neighborhood. And she had the absolute scariest things happen in that house. And one time I stayed the night with her and my radio turned on in the middle of the night by itself. My mom was a realtor in the 1980s. One day, she was preparing an old house for an upcoming open house and brought along a vacuum cleaner to tidy up before potential buyers arrived. As she began vacuuming, the machine suddenly shut off. She turned it back on, would get a bit vacuumed, but it happened again and again. Finally, thinking the vacuum switch might be faulty, she held it in place to keep it running. Then, without warning, the vacuum shut off once more, and at that exact moment, she felt something hard hit her leg. When she looked down, she saw the vacuum's plug had been yanked out of the outlet a few feet away and flung across the room at her, and that was enough. She packed up and left. Eventually, the home was torn down. Today, it's still an empty lot. I'm not a realtor, but when we sold our house, our realtor had a story he gained from it. This takes place around 2004 to 2005. We lived in this house for 10 years, but the activity got too much. When we sold it, the realtor, he was like early 20s and just getting into real estate. He had been doing it a couple years. Couldn't understand why, long story why, but he called us out on it. My mom tells him it's haunted. He laughed and said, "Oh, you're serious? Everyone says this, but here's a secret. I don't believe in ghosts, and I've never had anything happen to me." He sets up an open house for that weekend, a Saturday and Sunday deal. We don't hear anything from him. Monday rolls around and my mom calls him. He says, "I owe you a couple apologies. First, I laughed at you and that was wrong. Second, the open house lasted 30 minutes Saturday. And third, I'm sorry, but I will never be in that house alone ever again. Now, I understand why you wanted to sell that house." The house was a ranch-style house. You could see the entire house and every room from one side of the house. he was in the enclosed patio and heard someone walking around and going through cupboards, opening doors, and low talking. Thinking it was someone stopping in and used the door on the other side of the house. He walks to the kitchen but sees nobody. As he's standing there, he can hear the same stuff going on in another room and hear someone walking around and such right before his eyes, but nobody is there. It walks right in front of him to the other door and is gone. True to his word, he did not go back inside unless someone else was with him. And this is one of the more mild stories. Last June, my family bought the oldest house in our town off an elderly couple whose husband passed away in my bedroom along with 8 cats. I saw the ghost of a man, the husband, floating down the hallway, and I also saw a ghost cat. I keep hearing running up and down the rooms, upstairs, and across the hallways, sometimes demonic meows across my house. My grandpa, before he passed, stayed in my room as I was away for university and was sick, so my mom looked after him. He claimed a woman in black and a man were talking to him at the end of the bed about the house. My brother also claimed he heard a woman speaking next door. My brother's room is next to mine. Still feel super cold every time I walk in my room, even with the heating on too. A medium has come in to bless the house, but it's still eerie. I once had buyers who were very spiritual people. One day, I'm on my way to show them a house that had once been an old church house and has converted to a beautiful log/wood home. As I'm getting close to the house, my buyer calls me and tells me that they're good on looking at the house and don't want to go inside, and you'll see why when you pull up. So I go over to the crest of a hill, and there is the house with a huge hillside graveyard right next to/behind it. I'm talking there's headstones no more than 10 feet from the back door. Said graveyard was not disclosed in the listing, nor did the listing agent mention it, so my buyers are adamant they don't even want to go inside and are going to head to the next house we look at. But I was curious and decided to go inside. The inside of the house was beautiful and modern, and you'd have no idea that it used to be an old church. Everything seemed normal until I went up the stairs to the large loft above the living room. As soon as both of my feet hit the top step of the stairs, every single hair on my body stood up. I'm talking arms, back of my neck, legs, everything. It wasn't a bad presence or feeling, but it was real weird. I was still good enough to walk back down to the main floor and look around, and was going to head to the finished downstairs basement. But as soon as I opened the basement door, I got the exact same feeling as I did in the loft. I ran out of that house as fast as I possibly could. To finish off, as soon as I got in my car, I called my buyer, and she answered the phone with, "It's haunted, isn't it?" Yes, it was haunted. I'm currently licensed in a couple of states, and when I was on the East Coast, I was working with a new buyer couple. I usually let my buyers walk around the property at their own pace, and I do my own walkthrough looking for issues like leaks, broken windows, just anything obvious in general. I cannot explain or describe the overwhelming feeling of dread I got the minute I walked into the back portion of the house. It was built in 1930-something and was added onto for more square feet later. The portion that was the extension was fine, but as soon as you cross into the original portion, something was just off. The house was completely empty of all furniture, but for some reason in one of the guest rooms in the closet was a child's rocking chair with an old doll just sitting there. Nothing else in the closet, nothing else in the house, just this weird closet doll. As soon as my client saw, we pretty much left, and it was just too weird. I didn't even finish my property walkthrough. I was so happy to get out of there I didn't question it, and we just left to the next. Some houses just give off extremely weird vibes. A few years ago, I was showing houses to my client. He had his current home on the market that I sold him previously, and he was looking for a larger home. I scared myself in the house I was showing him because there was a mirror, and I saw my reflection, so I jumped. He laughed and said, "Speaking of being scared in houses, the house you sold me is totally haunted." So, of course, I made him tell me everything. He said that he will be in his bedroom and wake up in the mornings to a sound like someone making a big meal in the kitchen, pots and dish noises, etc. When he leaves the house, all the lights are off, and when he comes home, they're all on. If you close a closet door or any door and go in another room and come back, they will be open. He also said he was sitting on the couch watching TV and saw someone in the corner of his eye walking down the hall. He got his baseball bat because he legit thought someone had broken in. He became good friends with his neighbor and he told her about it. She said, "Oh, that's just Linda, nothing to worry about." Apparently Linda was a 30-year-old that lived there and died from terminal cancer. One day, the neighbor saw Linda on her porch waving at her like she normally does. About an hour later, a cop and ambulance was there for a welfare check. Linda had passed away 2 days ago. If you've made it this far, I'd like to shamelessly ask that you gave the video a thumbs up, as it helps the channel grow. My goal for the channel is to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Thanks for sticking around and listening, and until next time, good night.